Hmm?
I see lots of undulating hands and the messages coming.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's there. Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. We can begin the evening just sitting quietly, trying to calm down. Hmm? What's that?
Chant or not?
Oh, we begin with a chant? Okay. What do we want to do? Metta Sutta. Okay. We could begin with just begin the evening with a chant. Any idea what page it's on? Metta Sutta, this Buddha's words on loving kindness. In English? 37. Okay, great. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Okay, so we could take the opportunity to sit quietly, just settling into something simple. It's the posture or the sense of touch, the rhythm of the breath, sort of whatever seems most apparent or comfortable. And the main thing is just settling. And rather than being caught in the ways that the mind's always going to move, it doesn't matter. But being willing to be attentive, to be alert, to be present, and just settling back in, recognizing that there is this opportunity for awareness, opportunity to be present. And that's far more peaceful than whatever mood, whatever thought, whatever worry, concern, whatever excitement, whatever kind of way that the mind is reacting. We can always return to this place of attention and awareness. But it's helpful for it to be, say, body-oriented. Just returning to the body, returning to the breath, returning to the posture. It's one of the great things of having a human body. The body is always in the present moment, and you can return to it. So we can take this opportunity just to take some time to settle and be present. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so we can just have a couple minutes to stretch a bit. I don't know. It might be better to have it off.
It'll get warmer, but
It'll get warmer, but at least people can hear. Hmm?
it'll take a few minutes to settle down.
Okay. Hmm?
He says that's the air filter and then that stays on. Or we can turn
Okay.
it off.
Okay. Well, whatever. Okay, so there's myself and Ajahn Cunda, Anagarika Thai are the new guys, and Ajahn Cunda will be returning in a few days, going back down to Abhayagiri. So this, although I have visited the Hermitage and Yoga Samadhi and many, many times, but this will be my first extended stay here in White Salmon, so I'm quite looking forward to it, and that's a good opportunity to fill in for Ajahn Sudanto, he showed up at Abhayagiri and began his period of solitude. We put him up in a comfortable situation, and he was going to come back in March or April or something, and yeah, things changed, and he's still settled in to the where he is there at Abhayagiri. And I don't know, there's talk about him moving up to my cabin, where I am, but I think for right now he's more comfortable in the we have a house down below that we will eventually renovate into a place for old decrepit monks. But we haven't started the renovation yet, so he's in that house, and we're still working on the plans for it, and so he's there. But and where I live is just above that. It's on this new property right across from Abhayagiri, and it's very quiet over there. And he's been walking back and forth to Abhayagiri basically once a day to come over and receive his meal. One of the monks prepares food for him, takes it over to him. He comes and comes with his alms bowl, and gets a Tupperware put into his bowl, and then he disappears. So we don't see him usually. There have been rumors of Ajahn Sudanto sightings sometimes, but generally he's been I think enjoying the solitude. Just before leaving, both Ajahn Cunda and I went over and had tea with him, and he was saying he might go over for morning chanting, morning meditation with the group, with the community. It'd be, but he's got the freedom to do whatever, which is nice. So it's a nice gift to be able to give, and so we'll be here certainly for the summer into the fall, and be able to be a part of the community here. And so I was quite looking forward. One of the things I was looking forward to coming up here for was to come up to the cool weather of Washington State, and get out of the hot Mendocino County. Well, that didn't work. Last night, it was late afternoon. I'm like maybe 5 o'clock-ish. And it was, still close to 100. And I looked at the weather, my weather app, and see what it was like in Redwood Valley. And it was 79 in Redwood Valley. So, I mean, I know it's not personal, but but it's quite it's ironic. And it was actually similar when I the very first time that I went to Ukiah. I went in 1991. I was still the abbot of Wat Bananachat and in Thailand, and I was invited to participate in an ordination at City of 10,000 Buddhas. And it was late June, similar to this time, but that's the period in Thailand. That's the period of it's the end of the hot season. It's beginning of the rainy season, but the heat is still there, and you're just getting enough rain to not cool it down, but just keep everything muggy. So I had that chance to come to California, come to America, and so I was really looking forward to getting out of the heat, and of course you arrive in San Francisco, and I didn't know America. So that I arrived in San Francisco. It's really cool. I thought, wow, this is great. And then get in the car and start driving up to Ukiah, and the temperature just kept going up and up, and it was 115 in Ukiah. It was disappointment. But that's also, it's helpful to sort of reflect in terms of Dhamma, in terms of the mind, you know, what we conceive of that will be the end of suffering, or at least the relief from suffering. And we're always looking to something else, somewhere else, some other time, with some other people. You know, somehow it's going to be better, and somehow I'm not going to have to deal with this suffering, this discomfort, or this dissatisfaction now. And of course, that's really not how the Buddha taught, and it's not part of the tools that the Buddha gave us, so that we can be even within. Okay, yeah, I mean, heat is uncomfortable, but again, the sense of you adapt to the situation, you learn how to work with it, you learn how to, because it's the focusing on the discomfort that is the suffering. And it goes the same for like just physical discomfort, or illness. We can be, you know, it's such a big part of the added on extra dukkha, extra suffering. Because something can be uncomfortable, but we don't have to actually suffer. It's because when it becomes personal, why is this happening to me? Then it becomes really problematic. And that's when it becomes burdensome. So that we can experience something that is uncomfortable. It's like for myself, just say so far, coming for alms round, yeah, it's been uncomfortable. I mean, I'm happy to be coming for alms round, and happy to have that as a part of daily rhythm of life, because it's I mean, it's quite unique in America to be able to come for alms round on such a regular basis. And it's how I lived and how I trained as a monk in Thailand for so long. And then being in America, especially, say like a Abhayagiri, or once a week is we do alms round. And Ajahn Cunda has established the way of life here, so that the alms round is integral to daily life. And so and I find that really inspiring, I find it satisfying, and I find it uncomfortable. So that I've had, various bodily stuff that it's just ordinary. But there's the discomfort, and there's you can still be at ease with that because because you want to be looking at things through the lens. How the Buddha has us look at things is not through the lens of, do we like it, or we dislike it, or do we want it, or do we not want it, do we approve of it, do we disapprove of it, which that takes us all over the map. But through the lens of, is it wholesome or is it unwholesome? Is it skillful or is it unskillful? Is it beneficial or is it unbeneficial? And the word that the Buddha uses in the scriptural language that covers that aspect is a word called kusala or akusala. So and it's that, and that's much more of a lens that we want to be looking at our experience through, because something that is, say, wholesome or beneficial or skillful is what is leading to happiness and well-being. It's leading to peace and clarity, and that is what one wants to be cultivating or developing. And it doesn't mean that we don't experience discomfort, or we don't experience things that we don't want. Like, who wants 115 or 117 temperatures? I mean, that's you really would not be in one's right mind to want that. The human body is just not comfortable, but it's what we got, and one can be, if not at ease with it, one can be accepting of it. And you have to adjust things. Like in Thailand, it's a tropical country, and one of the things that you just do in Thailand as a part of, before the advent of air conditioning and whatnot, and there was always like in the villages and whatnot, there was always like jars of water for bathing, and you splash down, you have a quick kind of splash down shower, and you 2-3 times a day, that's just a part of life, and it makes it comfortable, and so that there's just ways that you can adapt to things. In the same way that, like where I grew up, when I tell people, say what I grew up with in terms of, I grew up in northern Canada, so that yeah, -40, -45, quite, it's just ordinary. That's part of winter. And you bundle up, you got the gear, you don't wander outside without a hat or or you don't where your mitts are all the time. And gloves don't work. I mean, gloves don't keep your fingers warm enough. It's just so that those are just little things that you adapt, and that's how we learn to adapt to things, and we can do that. So that in the same way, learning how to adapt to the emotional circumstances that we experience. We're always going to have things that we maybe approve of, maybe disapprove of, that we like or dislike, and we have to keep returning it to, is this really skillful? Or how can we make it skillful? How can we use it so that we're turning attention or lifting up an aspect that we can create a sense of the wholesome, the beneficial, and we can always do that. That's always an option. Of course, the other option is, how can we suffer more? I mean, it's just not an option. So, of course we do that. It's just, but that's the point of practice and training and mindfulness and reflection, that we recollect what is, how do we hold it? How do we be present with something so that we're able to, just not create more complication, more difficulty, more distress in the heart. How do we de-stress? And that's a and certainly in say our just modern society, there's always some kind of level of stress that's happening. There's always something going wrong, and even coming over here, before we left, it was okay. The live stream's not going to work. We tested it at the Hermitage. Okay, it looks like the live stream's not going to work, and could not figure it out. And of course, Ajahn Cunda and I are not a help at all. We don't know anything. So but it seems to have worked, so that Ajahn Cunda's managed to get it going, and we're hoping that Anagarika Thai, as a young person, actually knows what he's doing with these things. So, but if it didn't work, would that be a reason to would that be a reason to suffer? Would that be a reason to make this, say, Tuesday night gathering into a stressful event? It's not worth it. So just being able to recognize that we've got these choices all the time, and to pay attention to what we're choosing, because that's the aspect of, say, mindfulness and discernment, is that it is we're always having to choose. What do we pay attention to? How do we pay attention to it? And so it's not just in terms of meditation or study, it's in daily life, and that's bringing the practice into this daily life, moment to moment, kind of both training and learning. So those are some thoughts for reflection this evening. So if there's any questions. Yeah.
So do you prefer questions about, so for example, my experience, or is it more general? You prefer questions about the teachings of, or like...
I like questions that I can answer. And I like questions that have some close relationship to our practice, or to the teaching that's been given, or to a reflection on the practice.
Well, then I could try. Maybe you can't answer it. So when I'm sitting, and I try to follow the instructions and follow the breath and enjoy the breath. Something I heard the other day, that the Buddha meditated a lot because he enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like he was trying to get anything, or...
Yeah.
So yeah. So I go back and forth between just floating, just enjoying the breath. And, little trivial stuff comes up. And I realized in the sitting that stuff's kind of boring,
Yeah.
the trivial stuff, and there's usually some aspect of, oh, I should have done this, or I should do that. Something, typically. There's analysis goes on too, but so what comes up though sometimes is, oh, that's a really interesting Dhamma question, or oh, I see that, and I literally get this feeling right here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so I kind of get a bit attached to that instead of the breath. It's like, well, that seems like it's kusala.
Yeah.
To have these Dhamma reflect. I mean, even if I know I'm not going to really remember this, these insights, I don't, but it's like, oh. So I guess the question, should I tamp that down?
Again, it's helpful to pay attention, because also the say like the one of the things that Ajahn Chah used to emphasize is that like the aspect of, say, Dhamma is the it's kind of a language of feeling. So it's an experience, emotion. It's not, and sometimes the thoughts are the access point to that feeling, and sometimes, so that again, you're looking at the kind of the result or the feeling tone of the experience. So that is it, say, because dukkha has many nuances, and the same with, say, happiness or well-being, because those are kind of opposites. So that there's and in the same way that say wholesome, unwholesome, in the scriptural language is more nuanced than just wholesome. It's sort of like, is it peaceful? Is it settled? Is it kind of bright? Is it happy? Is it clear? Or is it its opposite? So that the thoughts come up in the mind, And sometimes they nurture the quality of well-being or clarity. And you don't have to remember those thoughts. You don't have to remember that idea. But what sticks in the mind is the feeling, or the emotion of it, or the actual feeling tone of that, which feels comfortable, it feels pleasant, it feels settled. And that's really, that's where we pay attention to that. And sometimes thought is really helpful and is maybe necessary. So thinking that meditation is, okay, I got to stop these intrusive thoughts. But you never know, things pop up in the mind, and sometimes they're really helpful. And so to be able to allow that, pursue that, choose to let that be a seed for well-being and settling. But then again, there's any number of random thoughts that come up that are, it's just more random stuff that keeps the mind agitated and circling around some fruitless pursuit. But so that's, you have to be willing to experiment and willing to take an interest. We tend to make a judgment on things really quickly and tend to be we can be quite dismissive and a kind of tyrannical over our minds, like you should behave. And well, good luck on that. So I think it's just that taking an interest and paying attention to the feeling tone. That's really important. And one of the things that so Ajahn Sumedho once asked Ajahn Chah, what is meditation? I mean, and in that sense, because he'd been with him for a little while, and what is meditation? And trying to get a handle on this more clearly, because Ajahn Chah would sometimes be, he'd give instruction one way, sometimes he'd give instruction another way, and he said, meditation is a holiday for the heart. And you think, oh, okay, are we, giving the heart a break from its obsessive tendencies, or its habit of, say, seeking out that which is agitating. So it's a holiday for the heart, which is a great way to reflect on it. Okay, looks like nobody's got any energy for anything.
Holly's got a question.
Huh?
Holly's got a question.
Oh, Holly, yes.
Enjoy hearing your words then, if one has a nice meditation that's a holiday for the heart.
Mm.
What is that leading us to on the path?
Well, I mean, we're again, this sense of clarity, settledness, because then there is as the mind, the heart becomes more settled and clear, we start to see things in their true nature. And we start to see things not through the lens of our preferences or our fears or our attachments, but we start to see things in their true nature. And then we can make, again, it's this sense of, we can start making clear choices, or skillful choices, when we see things more clearly. And that's both on a kind of a nuts and bolts, day-to-day practical reality, but then it's also on a emotional and intellectual reality as well.
I think it's so interesting that the Buddha realized that the cultivation of happiness or pleasure was a real key to insight.
Yes, yes. I mean, there is a, it's what helps to settle the mind. I mean, of course, I mean, there is a certain element of how do you say, the you know, that seeking of gratification and stimulation is agitating, and of course we want, and what we're seeking is pleasure of some sort. But then the experience of peace, of well-being, of kindness, of generosity, that's a happiness that is or of discernment, wisdom, seeing things clearly. That's a happiness that is settled and has a certain innocence to it, or doesn't have the same, it's not fraught with the same problems. So then it's actually a part of the path. Like, it's really interesting. Of course, I mean, the Buddha says that you know, he places dukkha, suffering, front and center as and he says it over. I teach only two things: dukkha and the ending of dukkha. So, suffering, ending of suffering. So you think, wow, Buddhism is all about suffering. But then you look at the path leading to the cessation of suffering, starting from right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right life, all the way through to right concentration. All of those elements of the path are sources of well-being and happiness. That's intrinsic to that level of skillfulness or appropriate kind of response to the world.
So the sloughing off of dukkha leaves you with happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so much of that dukkha that we, you know, it's sort of like, you know, who would I be, or what would my life be like without my dukkha? Yeah, that's really scary.
Question that's coming.
Okay.
I live with life-altering chronic illness and pain that are always present. How do we determine what is skillful when engaging in meditation and daily life practice when any activity increases pain?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, that's an exploration in terms of what can because it isn't that everything increases pain. There's got to be something that decreases it. How do I relax? How do I breathe? How do I, what props can I put around me that will help to lead to a certain element of ease? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's comfortable or pleasurable, but there's a certain ease. And to be taken interest in exploring that, and being able to relax into that. And then also an element of it is a turning of attention to the kind of compassion for the human condition that is really fraught with pain and discomfort. I mean, it's we are that is a reality, and we can mostly keep it at bay for most people most of the time. That's what's called life. But at times it is because of illness or because of some particular condition. But I think it's important to be able to explore ways that one can be directing attention, props that one can be relying on to help to create a sense of ease. It's like one of the things, and I hadn't thought of before I came made the commitment to come up here, so I'm just going to come up and stay. And Ajahn Yaniko is going to visit in about 10 days, I think. And there's a layman who has a vehicle that is kind of big, and without asking, he said, well, I'm going to bring up, I've got a comfortable chair that, and he said, I'll bring your chair up for you. I said, oh, sadhu. So so that I wasn't sort of, no, I'm going up to the Hermitage, and I'm going to, oh, okay, great. Because it's I mean, when you're young and fit, I mean, you push through everything, but now there's a point where your body doesn't do it anymore, and so that you have to recognize those limitations and be attentive to them. So that one is just trying to, because the human condition is fraught with dukkha and pain, discomfort. It is also the opportunity for wisdom and compassion and kind of a real deep peace within the heart.
You have a response from the questioner that says, "Beautiful, thank you, Ajahn."
Oh, okay. Okay. One of the things I thought would invite Ajahn Cunda is, this is his last evening. I know he said he was going to say, I gave the talk last week. I said, do you want to give the talk tonight? And said, this will be your last. And he said, no, I've already given my last talk. Said, but it'd be nice to say a few words. Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty dark there.
Shadow.
The shadow of me. Well, yeah, I've been here the last 8 months, and I was reflecting, we don't have a lot of 8 months in our lives. So it's been a significant portion of my life, and I've benefited greatly from living here. I know most of you here, and most of you have sustained my life for these last 8 months. So if you weren't here, I'd be dead. So thank you for keeping me alive. And just really reflecting on that care and generosity that I've seen has been really wonderful, and it's something that's unusual, the closeness of the relationships that we have here at the Hermitage. At Abhayagiri, I think it's more a closeness that the monastics feel with each other, and there's a lot of kind of coming and going of the lay people who visit the monastery. And there's a few people who live close, like yourselves, but this is a very rare experience. I mean, to see this room filled with so many people who I know and have interacted with and have spoken with, and just really enjoyed the company of. And also to see how, I'm very inspired by all of your practice and how dedicated you are, not in just your practice of generosity, but also your interest in the Dhamma, your interest in, as Luang Por was talking about, non-suffering, alleviating that in yourselves. So, I've had just a wonderful time here. I'm sad to go, but I'm also happy that there's this time with Luang Por Pasanno and Ajahn Cunda and Anagarikatai as well. I also thought of how, there were some members of the community who said, well, we have to make sure Ajahn Cunda comes back. And maybe that'll happen someday. That would be nice. But also how this, many of you have seen monks coming and going, and sometimes you lament, oh, Ajahn Chaganando, when will he come back? Or I hope Ajahn Siddhanto comes back, or whatever it might be. And you've seen the monks coming and going, and I've thought, well, there can be a lamenting, and that's very natural, a sadness that arises, because there is that cultivation of the heart, that goodness, that kindness that you've seen in yourselves, that, and then in that relationship you've had with the monastics who are here. But in the bigger picture, this is a training. This is a training that we have in separation. And so one of the beautiful aspects I find around the Buddha's teachings is they're not sugar-coated. He said, well, really, this is the fact of life. We do have separation. We can't always have the things that we want. We can't always be in pleasing circumstances in the greatest weather, even though we think we're going to get it. And so that, this is really a way to reflect, rather than kind of to sort of grieve and lament and beat our breasts. Why is it the case that Ajahn Cunda is leaving? Although maybe there are others who are doing the opposite, I don't know. And that's okay, Then you can be associated with what you love. And that's good. I have mudita for you, I'm happy for you. But that, it is something to think about, to bring up, like, oh yeah, okay, this is what my life is. This is what the Buddha's teachings are. That there is a separation, that monastics come and go, and then in your own lives, people come and go, and those who you love and those who are close to you, and who mean a lot to you. And also that one thing that we do get to keep, though, with that is our memories, the memories of that goodness. And it's important to kind of, I think, also bring that into our lives. That when I think about the Hermitage, while I'm here, and I think, and also when I'm going to be away, it's going to be one of just an uplifting heart. Really feeling the sweetness of all of the the good relationships that I've had here and the cultivation of that friendship, that spiritual friendship that I've been able to have here at the Hermitage. And so I just want to also extend my gratefulness and you know, just the fact that there's a lot of happiness in terms of that sense that I was taken care of so well by so many people in this room, and just there is a real sense of noticing that generosity, the beauty in that kindness that so many of you have extended in so many ways. And it's not just to me, but it's over the many years to the monastics who've lived here. And so I do think that I will take that with me and cherish that, and also cherish the memories. And I know I'll probably ask, oh, how's so-and-so doing? And how's it going up at the Hermitage? So I would like to come back, and I will be back for the Papa. So at least that's the plan. And you know how plans are. So maybe I won't be back for the Papa. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone here and tell you how grateful I am for having lived here and spent time with you. So thank you for all of your kindness towards the monks here in the Hermitage, and towards each other, and for cultivating that spiritual friendship in this community.
Please, perhaps others will join me in 3 vows in gratitude and well wishes for your Ajahn Cunda.
And just one last thing, if you're really interested in, if you really think you're going to miss me, then you can still have one more chance this weekend for our garden party. You can come help out the monastery. The heat is not supposed to be so intense, but we'll see. Anyway, that'll be on Saturday, 10 a.m. People will come by if they want to offer anything for the meal, and then 12 o'clock others can join us, and we'll start at 1 o'clock for the actual gardening for just a couple hours. Yeah, that's it. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you around.